Thanks very much, Michelle. Let's take you to KZN, where the provincial government says the province is ready for schools to reopen, stressing that the safety of both teachers and pupils won't be compromised. But teacher union SADTU claims that it has a list of 390 schools in KZN that are not ready and is demanding that these schools remain closed. For more now, we're joined by SADTU's provincial secretary, Nomarashiya Caluza. Nomarashiya, thanks very much for your time. Welcome to the AM report. So yesterday, the DG of Education stressed that the state of readiness of any school is largely subjective. So perhaps as a start, let me get an idea of what you're using to gauge whether or not a school is or isn't ready to accept pupils.
Yes, thank you for having us this morning. The going back to school, which is informed by the readiness of schools, of course. As the union in KwaZulu-Natal, we have issued a list of schools that are not ready, and though the list is informed by our monitoring as we're in schools and visiting all districts and all circuits in the province. Of course, these stats that we have, you'll find that the department is reporting a lesser number, and we know why. But what is important is for everyone to be able to visit these schools because they are not ready. So our take is that the teachers and learners can't go to those schools, and we needed a clear plan. That is what we said yesterday.
Yeah, and when you visit these schools, what exactly are you looking out for is what I'm asking. What factors are you considering when you decide that a school isn't ready?
Yes, you know, on the 30th of April, the minister declared the non-negotiables to say these are the things that must be attended before any school can reopen. And the non-negotiables mostly are informed by what the World Health Organization and the National Department of Health has said. Like, for example, the need for teachers and learners to wash their hands regularly and to ensure that there's hygiene, their PPEs. As we're going down to schools visiting them, we discovered that the department has tried to cover all schools. Very few schools do not have PPEs, but the main challenge is infrastructure. The main challenge is water provision and availability in schools. There was a promise that those schools were to be given water tanks and those water tanks to be filled with water. As of yesterday, those schools did not have the water tanks. In some cases, you'll find that there was a water tank that was delivered, but there's no water. But also, you find that there's a water tank, once filled with water, it just passes and then it releases all the water. So I think that there's also an issue on the quality of the water tanks that are sent to schools. So right now, if you look at the list of schools that we have, there are more than 400. In the main is the water challenge, the sanitation and water provision in schools, and we believe that can't be compromised because it's been emphasized by World Health Organization as well as the Department of Health, and it was mentioned as one of the non-negotiables by the minister herself. So the president of the country, the minister, and everyone else has been saying there is a need to prioritize lives, and we've been told even by scientists that one way of avoiding the spread of this virus is to ensure that the way we behave and we conduct ourselves is such that it is assisting the government. So in this way, if you don't have water, it means that even going to the toilet, you will be having a challenge. You can't wash your hands. You can't wash your hands regularly as it is required. So it is a need. It is a necessity. If the school does not have water, the school is not ready. I know that there are also other challenges in some schools that were vandalized. There were mobile classes to be sent there. In other schools, they have not been sent. Then isolated cases where you find that not enough PPEs like the masks were sent to school, but those are very few. The main challenges are infrastructural. And we know as such that the challenges are historic. That is why we've been saying what Corona has done, it has just lifted the challenges that we have been saying to the public. This is the situation that our teachers are finding themselves in when you go to those schools, because the majority of the schools that are not ready are rural.
Right.
You see,
So, Nomarashiya, if I can come in there, I mean, you mentioning just upwards of 400 schools that aren't ready according to your own standards. Yesterday, we heard from the Basic Education Department, though, that 5,000 schools in the province are ready. Are you satisfied with the way at least the province has responded once we take a broader look of the status quo or the lay of the land, so to speak, in the province? Do you think they've done a satisfactory job to get today where it needs to be?
Yeah, the truth is that in the province we have 6,000 schools. But when it comes to the statistics, you can see that there's confusion. And the department itself does not have the same stats. The minister spoke about 5,975, which was suggesting that only 25 schools were not ready. In the provincial media briefing, the MEC said there are 104 schools that are not ready. So you can see, and we are saying these schools are more than that. They are far more. They are more than 400, and we have the names of schools. And we are saying anyone who wants to get this list and go to those schools and see for themselves, we are available. We can give. We can publish. In fact, we have published the list. So we know it will be less than 500, and that is why we appreciate the work that has been done so far. But there is no way that we can compromise the lives of teachers and learners in the schools that are not ready. But also on this issue, it's very important to note that initially the department was not prepared to attend to these issues. And we pride ourselves as the unions because we have fought to ensure that the employer, the Department of Education in the province, deals with the challenges that were there, because you'd remember that initially the department had wanted to reopen schools on the 11th, on the 18th. We said schools are not ready, and even now we're saying we are disputing the list they have. The list that is authentic, because we visited schools, is the one that we have. You know why the department has lesser schools? It's because they abandoned. In some circuits, we said there must be a collective effort. There must be committees comprised of school governing bodies and teacher unions and the department visiting schools. In some circuits, the departmental officials decided to sample. They did not want to visit all schools, and then we continued on our own. Yeah. And that is why our list differs from theirs, and that is why you are saying ours is authentic, because we went physically to the schools.
All right. Let me thank you for now. I guess it raised the questions about what people are actually looking out for when they visit schools to ascertain whether or not they're ready. But it's all the time we have for you now. Thanks very much for your insights indeed. Nomarashiya Caluza is a KZN SADTU Provincial Secretary.